Betsy and Thomas here for the American Intelligence Media. And if I sound a little out of breath, I am. We were out of town for about a week. And, when you get back in town, I had to get everything unpacked, and I had to go to the grocery store. I had to fix dinner. I had to make up the stuff and, fold the clothes, do the load of laundry. We were out of silver water, had to do the silver water. I mean, it's just a lot of stuff going on. And then I had to get all the stuff from the team because they kept working while we were away, Thomas, and I had to upload all of that on all the blogs. And then we had 2 audios this morning, and now we finally get to sit down with the Betsy and Thomas show.
You're a busy person. If people could meet you, they would realize that you're 5 people in one body.
Well, I didn't say that to
No, I'm just saying. That's just a fact.
But the thing is it's a good thing that our 7 children no longer live here and they've moved on, because I don't know when we would have time to try to save America. There's a lot to do, and it's a lot to ask everyday average citizens like us to have such a burden to try to do this work when you look around and you see that the government is working against the people, not for us, and we're actually paying for that. So anyway, we were away because we went to a conference on energy, frequency, rejuvenation. It was really a very cool place to be. And we met some AIM patriots, Bridget and Carl. Wow, what an amazing power couple they were.
That's for sure. It was great it was so funny the way that it happened. We thought we were undercover and we were actually going down to meet certain people. And we did. And we were like everybody else here at the network. For Aim for Truth, we were out in the field doing investigative reporting and basically some really good research. And so we went to one place where we had this conference. We were attendees, which is great. Didn't have to speak, didn't have to do anything, just sat back, enjoyed ourselves. Presentations by people using light, color, vibration, sound, stones,
really putting
you
to
name
use
it.
Tesla's work.
Yeah.
Because some people say when we start talking about this that we're going out into woo-woo, and I'm saying, no, you're missing the boat. This is making practical application of the things that Tesla brought to surface.
Oh, and also things that can be tested. I mean, they have devices that can put bioelectric energy into your body, and you can test before and afterwards. Plus, they taught us some things that were very, very interesting. And of course, have been involved with crystals and stones for a long, long time. And it was just fascinating to be there and to have Taoist teachers and one of the top researchers and pioneers in vibrational energy work and what he calls vibrational science. And it was beautiful, beautiful. So all of us went out, the whole conclave, because we weren't here. We couldn't allow them to come in and mess up the place, eating everything, drinking the cappuccinos, wearing out the machine and eating scaring the animals and the birds in the back, so they couldn't come over. So we kicked them all out and told them they have to go out and don't come back until you have some investigative journalism to do. So one of the founding members of the conclave, John Barnwell, went out and contacted, what's his name? The guy who wrote
Zagami
on Leo's own podcast. So Leo Zagami, one of our favorites. I just love that guy because, it's one of my missions to reveal what's really going on at the Vatican, and it's his mission to do the same. So John Barnwell is going to be with Leo Zagami on a podcast tomorrow. We're hoping that later today we'll get to chat with Leo and maybe set up a time to talk with him about his new book, as well as ask him a lot of really cool questions, because this guy's the insider when it comes to the Vatican. And he can confirm directly many things that we suspect, as well as we have researched and believe that we know the direction that things are going. Okay. His book is really very interesting, his new book.
Okay, so that was forthcoming and everything. But
now, wait, Charles Ortel. John Barnwell also contacted the writer of Clinton Cash, showing the Clinton dirty laundry.
Okay, so what else has he done?
The conclave members are all out there working. Some haven't come back because they're ashamed because they have nothing new to report.
And a lot of people report on stuff, but they don't take it forward. They don't make stuff happen.
Now, one of us, and we're not going to say who, one conclave member followed up, because this is what we're doing now. We get offers every day of stuff. We don't know if it's true. We have to vet it, and it takes forever sometimes to vet this stuff. But one thing that one of our conclave members had had heard about, and we didn't make much of it. This person followed through and got... Are we going to talk about that now, Betsy?
What?
Are we going to talk about the letter?
Oh, yeah. No, but before you do, let me just say that we have a lot to report on about the conference because we found out some really cool stuff about longevity and rejuvenation that people in their 60s might also appreciate knowing about. But because it's more esoteric, and because we have to kind of go out where other people say it's woo-woo, we are thinking maybe we'll just put that on our other channel. And we would like your feedback, please, in the comment box, if you want us to post it here or if it's better on the other side. Okay?
Yes, Betsy, a word about the glass bead game. We have purposely created a bridge between this particular Americans for excuse me, I'm in the wrong group right now. Americans Intelligence Media was created, but it's separate than other groups that we work with. So if you want to get to those things, you have to cross the bridge or you have to play the glass bead game, basically, which is the same thing. And when you do, let me just give an example. Over here on this side, for American Intelligence Media, funny I should forget our name, but over here on this side, I guess that's what happens after a week of not speaking into the microphone. We were told to vet and see if we could determine if a certain historic artifact was what it was being claimed to be. And so it came to us and we found it wasn't what it was claimed to be, but it was something else. We do things like that. So that's what we were doing. And that's what that's what the conclave was out doing. That's what some of the team, Betsy's team, was doing. And that's what we were doing. But we were also enjoying ourselves being students sitting in the audience and really listening. And so, again, I want to say hi to Carl and hi to Bridget. Mm-hmm. And say delightful that there are people like that, like you, out there doing that work completely, basically underground, not being seen hardly at all, and not getting the credit for what you've done. And in a way, so many silent power couples could be out there. It was so wonderful, as Betsy said, to meet this power couple. And I opened my mouth during the conference, which I shouldn't have, but I really had to ask this question because it was like, oh my gosh, I know I'm only going to get this chance to. So I come out of that particular meeting, and there's a guy standing there, and he looks at me with this look, and he goes, "I know who you are, Thomas." And I went, huh? Oh, I'm busted. And he goes, "We listen to you all the time." And so then we had dinner with these lovely people, Carl and Bridget. So thank you.
Now, one of the reasons that we were on the road is we did have to vet a letter that you received. And I have read the letter, and I have posted it on another audio, and it's also in the description box. What do you want to say about that letter?
This letter came through an intermediary who we personally checked out to make sure that there was evidence that the author was a true author. So, in fact, we have for sure determined that the source is real. We cannot determine that the content of this letter, which we're calling the Zuckerberg Dossier, because in this letter it insinuates that Mark Zuckerberg is a liar, a fraud, a cheat, and always was, and that he was brainwashed when he was young. And this is written by his lover, who literally gives all these details that nobody else could possibly know about being his lover as a freshman at Harvard and as a sophomore, and being there when supposedly Facebook was created. And he says, no, it wasn't. He didn't create it. Not at all. He set up the Winklevoss twins. He set up his cousin, Aaron Greenberg. And he himself is not even named Zuckerberg. His real name is Greenberg. And that and that their cousin was the person who's masquerading as Snowden right now. And so this is all insinuated in this letter, but from a perspective of a scorned lover, really. And so I've never seen anything like this. But we, from time to time, we get insiders who say to us, "We love what you're doing. We want to give you help. Here, let us help you." Now, that isn't what this letter is. This letter is...
And let me just say, after we posted that letter, I did get emails from people who have claimed to also be in that dormitory and know Mark intimately, give me even more details. So,
well, this letter insinuates that there was a group called the Fellowship, named after the Fellowship of the Ring, but it was really Mark's 3 lovers who were part of this group, who he kept spilling the beans to them about the truth of the fact that Facebook as a social media was set up for the NSA and the CIA, and it was set up as an experiment, and he was nothing more than a cardboard cutout Silicon Valley a supposed genius boy who really can't write code.
Which we've been saying all along, so it's nice to have this kind of confirmation.
Well, anyone would know this. I didn't know these things about Mark, except that when he testified, his brain is empty, folks. He's a parrot. He has had brain bleach put on his cells. He has been MK Ultra'd or whatever you want to call it. In this letter, it just keeps calling it he was brainwashed, and that he would break down when he went through the pressure of the head of Harvard, Larry Summers, who had been the head of the Treasury, the head of all these. How did he become the head of Harvard at the time that Facebook was created there? As a military project that was going to be weaponized. How was it that Sheryl Sandberg happened to be there? How was it that these other people who literally, this person who wrote this, who says that they're still an insider at Facebook, I don't know if that means they still work there, but they say they're an insider at Facebook and they know the truth about Mark. They say anybody who ever worked with Mark for more than a few days knows he's an idiot, disorganized. He knows nothing. He's a parrot. He comes into the meeting, he just says things and walks out. That's it. He never really did a day of work. He didn't write a single line of code. And then it insinuates that it was stolen from somebody else. So the point is, this letter, if it's true, basically shows that Mark Zuckerberg, or Greensburg, whatever his name is, fraudulently created all of this, and to this moment, he doesn't own, control, or manage that company, and never has. And this letter then tells all these other details, all this stuff. Now, we've tried to share it with a number of people who we knew could vet it, and we can't vet 100% of it. But we can sure vet a whole bunch of it, and as Betsy just said, now people are writing and saying, I was there, I witnessed this, that's true.
I had someone give me an email with the details of the relationship Mark had with his mother. I don't think it's really relevant for this particular conversation. It seems to me a little bit too personal, but I mean, people know stuff on Mark.
Well, right now, the coolest thing in this letter is shocking. But once I read it over and over, I said, okay, I get what this writer is saying. This writer is right. This writer is correct. Okay, look at what's happening to Facebook. Mark doesn't run Facebook anymore. They've already said, the board members, that they were going to vote him out because his mismanagement, basically for neglect of the company, for negligence, for criminal activity to surveil every single user and breaking the user contract, the end user contract agreement. And so everyone wants him out. Okay, so now the insiders of Facebook have been coming out one after the next, from Sean Parker to the guy who runs it, to Sheryl Sandberg, all of them coming out saying, Mark can't run the company, he needs to get out. He won't get out. What's that about? So they sent over from England his handlers, the British, because remember, he's not an American. Mark runs his company out of another country. Where's he out of? Ireland or someplace? Luxembourg? He splits the company up so he doesn't have to pay taxes. He got $1 billion fines over there for that. Tax evasion. He got $1 billion fines for security violations, for taking everybody's private information,
and just remember,
selling it.
Mark is just the face of it. I mean, he still is guilty and he's complicit in this criminality, but he's the face of what this larger beast is, which is all of those agencies that you just named.
Exactly, and he owns 51% of the company.
I mean, I tell you, as a mother, I feel for this young man. His mother treated him very badly, from what I read, and then he was used. Who knows, brainwashed. He's a sophomore in Harvard, doesn't even belong there, and this all happens to him. I mean, how does a young person like that even get out of it? So that's a story for another day, but just to show that we do have compassion for him, but he has to stop. He has to stop right now. Confess his sins to America.
Well, people say he's a reptile. What that really means is he's a hindbrainer. There's hindbrain, midbrain, forebrain. He's not a forebrainer. He can't write code. He's been asked to write code or show the original source code. He didn't write the original source code. It was given to him according to this letter. And he was an idiot, and that his lover says that the only reason he didn't flunk from Harvard is because he did his work for him. He also says that Mark was never a hacker. He was a pathetic hacker, but he would get the real hackers to come in to do the work. He got the Winklevoss twins, Aaron Greensberg and Siglia, some other person, to actually write the back end of the code once he supposedly got the stolen source code. And the amazing thing in this is that the hacking he did was not hacking for what he called smash face, which is all a lie. He was hacking because he was looking at the account of another Harvard schoolmate whose father was actually inventing social media at that time and had just written a white paper describing the whole thing. So when Mark said, "Let the hacking begin," it was because his hacking of that person had finally paid off. Amazing. Didn't know this. This makes perfectly good sense. And that Larry Summers and Sheryl Sandberg always follows him no matter where he goes.
And in this, what was sent to us is the actual 2 pages of emails back and forth where Mark announces, "Let the hacking begin."
Yeah. And the proof, I've never seen these things. And so this has called some things out of the woodwork to prove and validate what is being said here, which is amazing. That's what you want one of these tell-all letters to do, cause other people to come out and validate it, because this person knows that they're in danger if they say who they are or the truth. Of course, Mark knows who it is. There's only 4 people in the fellowship, or 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't remember. 4 or 5 people in the fellowship, and basically, some people are saying they know who this is simply by what is being said. So, I'm not sure this person is safe. So let's look at what's actually happening. Right now, we have said that because the British sent over Richard Allen and Nick Clegg, the ex-Deputy Prime Minister of Britain, for heaven's sakes, had to come over after Sheryl Sandberg couldn't rein in Mark and after Richard Allen couldn't rein in Mark. He's also a Brit. So what do? They can see that he's out of control. He goes and he testifies to Congress, and every word out of his mouth is just sheer stupidity. Everything they ask him about the Russian interference, utter stupidity, showed that he didn't know anything, and that he has to use a pillow to sit up so that he looks like an adult. And basically, he always tilts his head backwards. That means you've been programmed. That's what Obama does. When they go into their programming, they tilt their head backwards. Just watch him. And when he's not got his head tilted backwards and he's reading the script that he's supposed to read, then he starts sweating. So what's really happening is you got the head we got every head executive at Facebook coming out saying, like Sean Parker, one of the original founders, who might be one of the fellowship members, could be. He says, we knew from the beginning that this was a military weaponized project for brainwashing. We knew that we were creating digital addicts. We knew that we were making cortisol be released to the brain and usurping the function of the adrenal glands. We knew that we were programming people. We knew we were using subliminal programming to do so. We knew that NSA had the back door. So the writer of this letter could say these things because Sean Parker said it, and so many other Facebook insiders have come out and said, this is a criminal organization. And Mark Zuckerberg doesn't run it. He's a puppet. And that's what this letter is saying. But it says it in a way that I've never heard before. I couldn't have even imagined. And when I first saw the letter, before we went to vet it from the emissary, we didn't know what to think of it. Matter of fact, we didn't spread it around. So the conclave member who has had it for a time. I'm not sure exactly how long. But when we saw what was happening in the press, we said, that's it. Okay, we're getting in the car. We're going to prove this. So that's what investigative journalists do. They go and they check the sources. So what we're saying is...
So do crazy retired people like us.
Yeah,
what we're doing is we want to know the truth, just like you guys out there want to know the truth. But we walk it. We will get in the car and go to where we have to go to find it.
Well, as we said from the beginning, Betsy, as you full well know, and everyone who joins either your team or the conclave, we tell you your life is in danger. If you wish to be an anonymous patriot, you might have to die for it.
What are you saying?
I've said that all along. And it's the truth. What we're saying is so much truth. And the people that we are giving the indictable information and evidence on could turn on us. For instance, Facebook is up to their eyeballs with the CIA, the rogue CIA, the NSA, the rogue NSA. You can't name a bad organization that doesn't work through Facebook. They are able, and this insinuates it. And so what's happening now? It's coming out that Facebook, Google, Gmail, YouTube, Instagram, all of them, PayPal, all of them are all interconnected. And you can go in with a system that, yes, the beautiful Nellie Oro is using, Open Source Works, which is now sold by Peter Thiel as Palantir. You can use that, and I can go in and say, Betsy Ross. And Betsy, I can look at your personal emails if you're on Gmail. That's the reason I bet you're on a secure channel like Leaders Technologies channel for your emails. And you can go in and you can look at all of your private data. It's been that way from the beginning, folks. It's now coming out, and Facebook is the group that is letting that out. So why are all the people turning against Facebook? Why do they send in the big guns to protect him? Why is he being blasted? Why are they talking about monopolies, antitrust, racketeering, everything else? What we predicted it first, that FANG was going down. And we predicted why and who and when and how.
Because when Facebook goes down, so do the others. It's just a matter of time.
Because they all stole the same source code.
Yes.
So why would they give up Facebook? Because if they don't stop Trump in 2020, the globalists are dead. They're dead in the water. There will be no more globalism.
Yes.
We will not be talking about the fact that countries don't get along with each other. How can you go to the UN and think the UN can control everybody by taking all their guns away and all their weapons, and they can tell the Iranians, be nice to Iraqis, be nice to Americans? It's not going to work.
Hey, did you see my idea about the UN? I think
love that.
You love that idea?
Oh, that was the height of my day.
Well, you didn't say anything.
Oh, I thought it was brilliant.
Well, go ahead. You got the floor.
Trump's library,
I just said, look,
should be placed on where they knocked the UN down.
We need to knock down the UN, and that footprint becomes the Trump Presidential Library, Resort, and Casino. I'm telling you, can it be a swanky place? And it really is a tribute for all of us out here, patriots, that we beat the globalists. And I'd love to see that monument up. Now, look, I know you could just talk forever on this, folks.
Let me just say something to that.
Well, and then we have to get to the Michael Horowitz report.
We elected a capitalist to stop the communism of Hillary Clinton, to stop the Islamic fascism of Barack Obama, who is also a communist and also a globalist, and to stop the communism of Bill Clinton, and to stop the communism of the rogue CIA of the Bushes. So what we're doing here is we need to salute Trump and say thank you for being the first capitalist president to put us back on the map, to use tariffs, to use taxes, to do all the things you've done to actually reclaim America through the most powerful tool you have, the economy. Even war is subject to the economy and currency and debt and money.
And what about that
sanctions?
Michael Horowitz report?
I
haven't. The thing is, folks, I haven't had time to look this over.
Okay.
You spent some time on it yesterday, and then we're going to wrap it up. We just want to finish up with this Horowitz report.
Okay, but let me go back to the letter. Read the letter, folks, and then chime in, tell us what you know, because this is, we reveal some things. Sometimes we don't know what we're talking about. We can't say that all those details are true, but we want to know if you know that some of them are true, and also take a look at it, because it sure shows the following, that they're trying, that if Facebook cannot be the weaponized brainwashing device it was created to be and win 2020 for Trump, they don't care that it dies. They hope it dies. Because why? They're going to separate it into 7 separate companies that will, on the day those 7 companies open, they will have the same valuation as Facebook had when it died. So whatever Facebook is worth, those 7 companies each will be worth that. In other words, you'll make Mark Zuckerberg, Greensburg, whatever his name is, 7 times richer, and you'll just have 7 companies.
And you kidding? The stock is already falling, and the other day it keeps falling and falling. I mean, probably because patriots who understand what's going on are getting out.
Well, just like Google, just like Twitter, just like Instagram, just like Facebook, they're trying to get rid of all conservatives. They don't care. This is a last-ditch attempt. If they can't stop free speech in America now, then Britain is going to separate from the European Union. The European Union is going to go down, and America is going to reconstitute itself. In other words, recognize the Constitution instead of recognize the power of corporations and the ultimate corporation, which is the monarchy in Britain and its Privy Council, who swears allegiance to keep every speck of the Queen's business hidden.
Okay. Michael Horowitz.
Okay. Here's what I recommend. Don't read it. Just eat something really bad, stick your finger down your throat, throw up, look at the vomit, and that's what the report is. The report is exactly what we told you it would be. It is regurgitating exactly the words that Comey and Mueller used. I mean, literally. This is unbelievable. They didn't even go to the trouble to come up with new words, phrases, or anything. In other words, this report didn't do any investigation whatsoever, exactly as we told you. They completely exonerated everyone part of the midterm exam. So,
well, and of course, remember, Michael Horowitz, as we pointed out to you long ago, is a player. He's a senior executive service operative, and he is there to protect the swamp.
He was supposed to be one of the next attorney generals. He's not going to be now, because we see that all of his reports are lies, cheat, and do nothing but hide the deep state globally and the shadow government locally through the senior executive service. He won't even fire Bruce Orr. He didn't notice that anything was wrong with Peter Strzok going in. Well, first off, there's not a sentence in it that is true because it does nothing more than repeat what Comey said. And remember, Mueller's report, the Kaka Dossier, the Crossfire Hurricane, CIA counterintelligence investigation illegal, that report, the Mueller-Kaka Dossier, there's not a speck of truth in it, and all it does is regurgitate what Comey had already said. So that's what this does, and it is even worse than the one on Andrew McCabe, and it's even worse than the one on no politicalization between the DOJ and the FBI. Michael Horowitz is writing worse reports each time. This one is the most pathetic of all. It is unexcusable what he says in this report.
Yeah, but he can't tell you the truth because then they will all hang.
But I told you from the beginning there will be no indictments. There are no indictments. There should be, and it should be recommending a new investigation because everyone knows it was tainted. Everyone knows that it was slanted. But in this investigation, he literally, this makes me so upset. All I can tell you is this. Go ahead and read it if you want, but you're going to vomit. And then at the end of it, you're going to say, who in the heck wrote this? Comey's mommy? Did Comey's mommy write this? This is an alibi for Comey told by his mommy to the world, saying that her little boy didn't do anything wrong. He never did. Everything was justified. Everything. Everything was fine.
Maybe he hired out Fusion GPS to write it.
No, because we know that their writing is very bad. Glenn Simpson and his wife, I forget her name, bragged that the Russian dossier was really the work of Glenn Simpson. He needs to be given credit for it. Yeah. It's the biggest piece of garbage I've ever seen. And now people are literally saying that. They call it the garbage report. They call it anybody. Here's one. Devin Nunes. I don't know when he said this, yesterday, the day before. When the FBI agents were before the congressional committee and they were asking them questions, he asked them, did you read the Steele report? And they said they hadn't read it yet. Okay, they were the investigators of it. They came to report on it, but they hadn't read it yet.
Oh my God.
In other words, if you hadn't read it, that is what's called plausible deniability. It means you are not culpable. It means that you are a lying, disgusting, minion of a lawyer who is telling you a lie to get you out of the fact that if you started telling the truth, you'd have to tell the truth that we've been telling people, which takes a long time. Don't get me started on the dossier. But the new dossier, which would be nothing more than this is like cat urine dossier of Michael Horowitz. Michael Horowitz is the guy who allowed Peter Strzok to decide which of the 55,000 texts he would reveal to the world, allowed him to extract any personal remarks between him and
Lisa Page,
and to remove all attachments or any references to any senior executive service members.
Does everybody get a deal like that?
No, only if your dad was also a spy working for Iran. And his dad was a spy working for Iran. Peter Strzok 1, Peter Strzok 2, and Peter Strzok 3. It's the same old story. There ain't nothing new. We told you who it would be before, I don't even remember, probably before July, before the Crossfire Hurricane was even instigated. We told you what would happen.
Did he talk about the British influence at all in his report?
He didn't talk about anything real.
Well, according to Sarah Carter and John Solomon, the Brits were trying to help us.
The only thing new is that Judicial Watch just found some of Hillary's notes, which they FOIA'd from her IT guy. And yes, folks, it's true. Hillary's server was in her basement. You know when they say it was in the bathroom and they make jokes and she says, "It wasn't in my bathroom." Correct. It was in the basement. And the guy who had access to it said everybody had access to it. JC, Justin Cooper. And basically what Hillary did was one of the largest espionage crimes in U.S. history. But remember, now this is the part that really, really upset me. Michael Horowitz made stuff up for this report.
Really?
Massive amounts of filler to go in between the alibi lies that have been told by Strzok, by McCabe, by Comey,
what are the repercussions
by James
for that?
Baker.
If you know it's a lie, he knows it's a lie. What are the repercussions?
He
just tell a fiction?
No. Well, the Attorney General...
Is this another dossier?
The Attorney General could question his report. And look closer at the evidence, and if he finds that the evidence has been tampered, then he could say that the report was tampered, but then they would say, Horowitz would say, that was the people below me who created that. I didn't really ever read the report. Remember, Rat Rodenstein said that he never really read the FISA requests that he signed.
Wow, they
Comey said he didn't read them. The person who cleared it before, actually, Comey and Rosenstein cleared all 4 FISA court applications before they went to the standard bureaucrats. And because they had already cleared them, the bureaucrats have testified now that they didn't even read the reports. They didn't read anything about Christopher Steele.
SES.
They didn't read at all. They just signed them.
That's because they're SES and they can't read and write.
Correct.
I mean, really, that's the kind of stooges you have working in the senior executive service at the lower end.
Remember, the SES is a paramilitary organization. The heads of the SES for each section and agency of America, of the federal government, the agency heads are headed by SES members. Each of them is considered a general, like the Attorney General. They are all generals. And any SES members below them are like military. And when they give them an order, they do it. They don't question it.
You sign this and pass it on to the next person.
Correct.
And it was yes, sir, or yes, ma'am.
And we know this to be true. So we had the testimony of almost every person who handled the FISA court document, and they all say they didn't read them. Amazing. And now the FBI agents testifying, who was supposedly in charge of this whole thing, didn't even read Christopher Steele's dossier. And so Nunes is just laughing, saying, how do they expect us to believe any of this? This is a comedy of errors. This is a 3-ring circus. This is a clown.
This is a regime change that failed. George Soros failed his Purple Revolution in America.
So the Horowitz report is garbage, and all of his reports, remember, I count 6, some count 7 separate issues given to Horowitz. I could go over some of them, but the first was the DOJ politicalization with the FBI during the election. He found none. He indicted no one. And his recommendations are they needed some sensitivity training and that they shouldn't be taking things like gifts and money from reporters and that they shouldn't have reporters on the FBI payroll and that there shouldn't be institutionalized leaking. So he found that they should all be trained on things that are crimes that they committed. And because they're going to do a sensitivity training on it, it's okay. Same thing he did with the new one. Of course, he said Andrew McCabe, he declined prosecution with Andrew McCabe. Though he lists Andrew McCabe's, this is Horowitz, lists Andrew McCabe's crimes. He then says he declines prosecution. And then on this new one, which included, dozens of people. And remember, Hillary Clinton, though he lies in this report and says Hillary Clinton was interrogated. No, she was not interrogated. He says notes were taken. No, there were not notes taken. He says that she was investigated. No, she was never a subject of investigation. So he lies in this report, so much so that you just keep vomiting as you read it. Because what it is it's worse than Comey's exoneration of Hillary is Horowitz's exoneration of Comey. And the entire group, James Baker, Rybicki, Andrew McCabe, Strzok, Page, all of them, Hillary Clinton, Samuelson, Mills, all of them are all friggin' guilty of the worst espionage treason ever in U.S. history.
I have a question. Is that James Baker the same James Baker that's in the Highlands group that works with O'Neill? Okay.
There's 4 James Bakers, Dan.
Yes, there are several James Bakers in Washington. I wanted to bring that to your attention because in the last audio we talk about James Baker at the Highlands group.
Yeah, no, that's a completely different person.
And there's a James A. Baker.
Yeah, and a James Baker 2 and a James Baker 3.
So everybody pay attention to
James my
Baker.
Lord, there's so many James
Bakers.
Bakers.
So the IG Horowitz report is a bust.
And all of Horowitz's reports will be exactly the same. Lies and alibis told as if he were the mother of the people he was protecting from some bullies who were trying to say that they did something wrong. Listen, read the Christopher Steele dossier and you will laugh. Read the Mueller report and you will cry. Read the Horowitz Andrew McCabe and you will exoneration, you will become angry. Read the Horowitz DOJ FBI politicalization exoneration, and at that moment you go, wait, but he says right here there was bias, but nobody's doing anything about it. He says right here, the report literally says he should have indicted these people and he didn't. But when you read this one, which I don't recommend unless you wish to vomit.
Okay, you've said that word several times. So
it is vomit.
It is.
It's not even garbage. It's not sewage.
We have the Fifi dossier, the Caca dossier, and the vomit dossier. Is that what you're saying?
Okay, let's call it the vomit dossier.
Okay, the vomit dossier.
And it stinks and it reeks, and there's not a single word in it that's true.
And don't forget, we've got the Zuckerberg dossier too.
And it was sent out, and it was released, and nobody says a single word about it. Oh, the Zuckerberg dossier, this new letter. Yeah, good point.
Okay.
Lots of dossiers.
Yes.
Oh, I just love that word because it makes it sound like something's really important inside of them instead of that they are just cartoon garbage, which will make you vomit. Oh, I'm sorry, I said vomit again. But anyway, Horowitz and those who believed he was a white hat, you are 150%
That would be conservative
wrong.
Treehouse. Sundance called him out as being a good guy early on and still hasn't given a full retraction.
We told you that, and we told you William Priestap was running the counterintelligence. He was found going where? To London to do what? To meet with Stephen Halper and Christopher Steele so that they could set this up directly when the small group went from the CIA counterintelligence black ops section with Peter Strzok. He then joined with William Priestap. So I'm sorry, those who believe that William Priestap was was a white hat. No, he's not. That's the reason he didn't run away. His 2 predecessors who were in that job, which we actually literally said this before July 26th. We said, oh no, get ready. We already see what's happening with Franklin Furore and Slate and the fake Trump Tower computer contacting Alpha Bank in Russia. We already saw that. We saw these accusations of all kinds of things, but what we also saw was that there was already intervention in April of 2015 on the Democratic National Committee's server, and that was done by, of course, our favorite Russian spy in America, running the only company that Obama used for any cyber warfare or any cyber protection, and that was
CrowdStrike.
And
Dmitry Alperovich, which was, I think, one of our first audios. Okay, summarize and wrap up, and then I have 2 parting remarks.
Okay, well, I don't know. I can summarize this because what's going on here is just a continuous show of nonsense, and that's the reason we took a break, because nothing was happening, really. Trump beat the snot out of the Mexicans on the Mexican border, exactly as he said. And what did he say? They will pay for the border, okay? You know that the week or so that he closed it down, I think he got almost $2 billion. Well, why can't that be used to build the wall? And all he has to do is get a 5% tariff on them? Oh, what's it take? A month? To get double the amount to build the wall, and the best security wall in the face of the earth? No. What he's doing is exactly what he said he was doing, and they don't understand the power of the executive. And what I'm going to say is, I said recently with Michael McKibben, the president controls the CIA, the FBI, the Department of Justice, the Secretary of State, the Director of the National Intelligence, the National Security Council, and all of them have to obey his orders. He is the commander-in-chief, and they are generals, usually of an agency or some equivalent thereof. But the SES is running against him full tilt because of why? A Horowitz. Who was Horowitz trained by? Mueller. And who did Mueller train? Rosenstein and Comey. And so you're talking about a very small group of people. This can be ended. And this cabal that has turned Washington, D.C. into the District of Crime instead of the District of Columbia needs to meet justice.
And then, to all my lady friends out there, let's always remember that a man works from sun to sun, but a woman's work is never done.